Good morning, everybody. I've got my evil look going on for today.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
good
do.
morning. And indeed, good morning, America. Good morning, world. Good morning, half transparent Oz. Good morning, Chanda. Good morning, Amos. And well, the fitting tunes for, only 17 days until Judgment Day, right?
End of the
And
world. Yeah.
as usual, I would like to start with asking my panel how they are doing at those days where I think the things are getting crazier and crazier and crazier. Chanda, how are you doing in those times?
Well, I'm good. I'm hanging in there, just watching this election get closer and closer. Scary things are starting to happen, censorship, and I'm watching a lot of fellow YouTubers and streamers being censored, and that's very worrisome for me.
Yes, indeed. And let's not talk about platforms or certain platforms and
Yeah.
problems with them. We will try to find solutions in the near future, and we are already working on this. And yes, Amos, how are you doing?
Well, every morning I wake up and I'm trying to figure out whether I smoked something and forgot because the news are just completely off the wall at this
Yes,
point.
we talked about this a little bit earlier in the green room, and it's a little bit Kafka-esque, if you want. So it's really crazy, and we can see Oz in full. How are you doing, man?
Good. I'm just having a tech week from hell, as you can tell, and it's an ongoing gift that keeps on giving. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, great to have you, and thank you for all the work you're doing in the background mostly, and very appreciated. Well, another week has gone, and before we are addressing what happened this week, we are taking a look back in history, and we are going into the year 1906. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Yes, I mixed the order. Today, on No Joke, we are having a shoemaker who fools the military. This happened in Germany. We are talking about Alarmist Horror Shows, and we got some examples for this, which Amos will present. We will look at Europe, and we see the polls. Europe definitely wants Joe, and we will talk also about the consequences. If it's not Joe, we will talk about the global consequences. Amos will address the Green New Deal, and he will compare it with the original one and what Joe Biden has in mind. And of course, we will have a look at the past week. I call it another whacko week. And we found a nice thing. Also, we found a so-called, I call it like this, a supreme photo love story. And the good news, we are talking about a project. It is about nanoclay, liquid nanoclay in Egypt. So you see, we got a full-packed show for today. And let's start with the history part. And as I said, we are looking back at Germany in 1906, and there was a shoemaker. He was a criminal. He was charged of many crimes, and but nothing real serious. He did not kill anybody and stuff. But he was quite known in prison. There we have him. This is Wilhelm Vogt, and these are the police shots, the mug shots of him. Well, he was a criminal, and one thing I think he found out that the Germans, at least at that time, were pretty remarkable in their obedience to authorities, and he used this for his own purpose. He got from somewhere. He got the uniform of a captain. He dressed up, and then he stopped a troop of soldiers, a squad of soldiers, and he ordered them to go with him to a point in Tegel in Germany, which is an official office for public affairs, and at least he succeeded in stealing 4,000 marks from there, and he escaped with this. And this story got got so much feedback in public, of course, because everybody was laughing about the stupid soldiers who followed blindly to the false captain, and even the Kaiser at that time, it was Wilhelm II. He was also a little fan of him, as it seems, because later when Wilhelm Vogt was caught, he did not had to serve the full 5 years. He was pardoned after 2 years, and the fun stuff in the end was that he still kept his uniform, and he became a local attraction in Berlin. And he went around with his uniform, and for tips he posed with it, and he gave autographs, and he had a decent income with this after he served. And it leads so far that at that time famous German writer Karl Zuckmayer also took this incident for his famous novel The Captain of Köpenick, in which he's stuck to the original story mostly, but of course as a novel he added fictional parts, and he described it like the poor shoemaker didn't have a passport. He was not belonging to any certain country, and he wanted this passport, but he couldn't get it because he had no work, and he could get work only with a passport, and so on. It was a devil's circle, if you want. So, and this made him to get the uniform, and he ordered the soldiers not to steal or to rob the money, but to get the passport he wanted. Well, that's the story about German blindly following authorities. And I already asked Amos, because he was living in Germany, if he knew the story, and he did not. And some people are doing stupid things, Don't follow blindly authorities. This is all we can conclude from this. Any comments from the panel for this?
I loved it that the Kaiser was amused with his story. He wasn't mad or anything. He just
yes. And there were also several movies about this here in Germany, and they also got a big audience here. And this, I think, nearly every German knows the story about the Captain of Köpenick here. Yeah. Well, let's have a look what else happened today. And we got also some impressive headlines for this day. Al Capone finally got to prison. The OPEC enacted the oil embargo. It had to do, I think, with Israel and America helping them. I think maybe Amos can help us with this. Do you remember what happened in 1973?
About OPEC?
Yes.
Well, it was just... there was a boycott of they weren't selling fuel to Israel, and they were also putting restrictions on selling it to the US. They were very powerful at the time, unlike today in terms of having their hands around global fuel supply.
Yes, I remember this when I was a kid. When the oil embargo started in Germany, there was a law at that time that the highways or the streets should be car-free, complete car-free on Sundays, and it was as usual. If something like this happens, some reactions are very over the top, and everyone was in panic at that time. We are losing our oil and etc. We all know this. All right. President Ford explains his pardon of Nixon to Congress. Maybe we will see this also next year when President Biden explains his pardon of Trump to Congress. I don't know. We will see. The first resolution formally creating the Texas Rangers is approved. If that was a good thing, we can discuss about, and my only experience with the Texas Rangers is the relatively stupid TV show with Chuck Norris. In 1912, Serbia and Greece declared war on the Ottoman Empire in the First Balkan Wars, which was something like a prelude to what later emerged into the World War I. And lots of headlines for this day. Anything you would like to add? What happened today to the headlines? All right, no one. Okay.
Well, actually, regarding you mentioned the OPEC thing, and that's really what prompted the oil reserves project in the U.S., which is now coming back to bite us because we have such huge amounts of oil reserves that even just burning those at this point is going to be problematic.
Yeah, and yeah, as I said at the beginning, crazy times, right? And talking about crazy, Amos, please take over and tell us more about the horror shows coming from some alarmists.
Well, first of all, a warning. Just please turn off this stream immediately. Stop watching this stinking alarmist on your screen. I'm in some debate groups and stuff, and people keep saying whenever I bring something up, oh, you guys are alarmists, the sky's falling. Well, take a look at these things. If that doesn't give you the creeps every time you see something like that, something's wrong with you. Let's start from the sheriff that had to deal with the abduction plot of the governor of the governor. His name is Darleaf.
Darleaf says calls and emails poured in all day here at the department in regards to what he said. The sheriff now telling us, though, he is not defending the alleged actions of those men.
Are you defending the actions of the people who were charged here locally that you spoke about yesterday?
Absolutely not. I'm defending the law.
Berry County Sheriff Darleaf pushing claims of upholding the Constitution Friday after receiving nationwide criticism for saying this to Fox 17 Thursday.
Are they trying to kidnap? Because a lot of people are angry with the governor, and they want her arrested. So are they trying to arrest, or was it a kidnap attempt?
Leaf, at the time, questioning charges brought against two Berry County brothers he knows, William and Michael Null, for their role in an alleged plot to kidnap the governor, overthrow the Capitol, and hurt law enforcement. In a tweet today, Michigan's top cop, Attorney General Dana Nessel, called Leaf's comments quote-unquote dangerous. Leaf also trending on Twitter, people there calling for his resignation. Locally, Berry County Dispatch asked people to direct any comments or concerns elsewhere after receiving an influx of calls, some, quote, aggressive and threatening, end quote. Leaf declining to link those events with his stance now, instead saying he's just clarifying and only made the comment about arresting government officials as an example.
Are you backtracking?
No, this isn't backtracking. Clarifying is what I'm doing here. I don't want to think anybody think that I'm sympathetic towards these charges, all right? These are very, very serious charges. What I don't want is I don't want us to be trying it in the media and we mess it up in the justice system somewhere because they can't get a fair trial. It's very important we not mess any of this on up because one little technicality and maybe it goes out the door. And we need to be very, very cautious of that.
We also asked him to clarify his position with the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. The group's website says its members believe county sheriffs are charged with upholding the supreme law, the Constitution, and their powers supersede those held by others from any level of government.
It's been a blessing, really, because the reason why I stayed with them is because their attitude towards the community policing. They're trying to bring back more of the policing where we get involved with the community.
Leaf says he's been a proud member for several years.
There are certain federal or state laws that you will not uphold. Is that not a violation of your job and, the oath that you took?
No, the oath we take, we take it very seriously. We've always had discretion on what laws we enforce or how we enforce them.
Now, to watch that original story in full, just head on over right now to our website at fox17online.com. Reporting in Hastings, Marisa Oberly, Fox 17 News.
Holy crap. So he basically pretty much said that perhaps they were doing a citizen's arrest and did nothing wrong. And the fact that he and some others are even pushing a further lack of accountability of sheriffs. Sheriffs are elected. There's no way to really rein them in. and this movement of even unleashing them further and making them supposedly accountable only to the Constitution is truly truly disturbing, because that's a matter of interpretation. So we're if that's not alarming, I don't know what else is. Let's look at the next clip. There's nothing to see here either.
Of course not.
Unless Bill Barr indicts these people for crimes, the greatest political crime in the history of our country, then we're going to get little satisfaction unless I win, and we'll just have to go, because I won't forget it. But these people should be indicted. This was the greatest political crime in the history of our country, and that includes Obama, and it includes Biden. These are people that spied in my campaign, and we have everything. Now they say they have much more, okay? And I say, Bill, we got plenty. You don't need any more. We got so much, Maria. Even just take a look at the Comey report, 78 pages of kill, done by Horowitz. And I have a lot of respect for Horowitz. And he said prosecute. He recommended prosecute, and they didn't prosecute. I couldn't believe it, but they didn't do it because they said we have much bigger fish to fry. Well, that's okay. They indicted Flynn for lying, and he didn't lie. They destroyed many lives. Roger Stone over nothing. They destroyed lives. So look at Manafort. They sent in a black book that was a phony black book. Phony. They made up a black book of cash that he got from Ukraine or someplace. And he didn't get any cash. It was a phony book.
So when the president is coming on and like denying facts that have been established in court and other things that have been like found and is promoting something that is barely there's barely any evidence for, it's just disturbing that he's going after and he's already indicting people who were running against him politically. That's the type of stuff that we see in banana republics, where you trump up some accusations against the opposition and you get them out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. He follows the playbook.
And here's another thing that shouldn't worry you at all.
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I hate to say that. I know nothing about it. I do know they are very much against pedophilia. They fight it very hard. He may be
Why not
right.
just say it's
Can I be
crazy and
honest?
not true?
He may be right. I just don't know about QAnon.
You do know.
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Just this week, you retweeted to your 87 million followers a conspiracy theory that Joe Biden orchestrated to have SEAL Team 6, the Navy SEAL Team 6, killed to cover up the fake death of bin Laden. Now, why would you send a lie like that to your followers? You retweeted
That was
it.
a retweet. That was an opinion of somebody, and that was a retweet. I'll put it out there. People can decide for themselves.
You're
I don't
the
take a
president.
position.
You're not like someone's crazy uncle who can just retweet whatever.
That was a retweet, and I do a lot of retweets. And frankly, because the media is so fake and so corrupt, if I didn't have social media, I don't call it Twitter, I call it social media, I wouldn't be able to get the word out. Well, I test quite a bit, and I can tell you that before the debate, which I thought it was a very good debate, and I felt fantastically. I had no problem before.
Did you test the day of the debate?
I don't know. I don't even remember. I test all the time. But I can tell you this. After the debate, like I guess a day or so, I think it was Thursday evening, maybe even late Thursday evening, I tested positive. That's when I first found out. I knew it was a big threat. At the same time, I don't want to panic this country. I don't want to go out and say everybody's going to die. Everybody's
Isn't there a middle ground? You don't have to mislead, but you can.
Maybe they are.
No, there's not a middle ground. I denounce white supremacy, okay?
You did
I've
2 days
denounced
later.
white supremacy for years, but you always do it. You always start off with a question. You didn't ask Joe Biden whether or not he denounces Antifa.
Yeah, so yeah, he never heard of the QAnon. He doesn't know who they are. Like people, I can't imagine that even among his supporters, anybody really believes what he's saying anymore, because it's so outrageously ridiculous to believe that he, after so many questionings, doesn't know who QAnon is, doesn't know who the Proud Boys are. He doesn't remember whether he was tested, where he was claiming that every day is tested. Stuff like that. I mean, like, who believes this guy anymore? Like, and if you don't believe this guy, how can you justifiably support something like that? There's no more weight given to truth. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I think I picked up a hitchhiker that might have an opinion on this, Amos.
Yeah, I do.
Can
you hear me?
Let's bring him in. Yeah, there he is.
My microphone's on. I have to go mess with my microphone.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Is it an echo? Or
No.
can you hear me on the microphone?
No, you're good. You're good, buddy.
Okay,
You're
is
good.
that Marcus who just made those comments?
No,
and
that
said
was
those things.
That was Amos.
No, it's almost.
Oh, this was the guy in the background. Hey, Pastor or Craig, I don't know.
Okay, how are you doing, my friend? Let me just start off by saying that, okay, first of all, I think the emphasis should be on the moderator and the network and these kind of line of questionings and stuff like that. Can you imagine if Chanda and Oz were the moderators of this debate? What kind of questions would they ask about? Maybe something about policy. And let me tell you something. The left knows as much about QAnon as the right does about Antifa. Squat, shit, nothing. So I really don't even understand these lines of questions. And furthermore, it seems once again that the mainstream media, especially when it comes to the establishment left media, the Democrat medias, who are all intertwined with this pedophilia crap again, are trying to beat it down, try to beat down anything that talks about or looks about pedophilia. You know, I'm on the show today because they took down a Wayfair story we did 4 months ago. So really, to tell you the truth, the differences between that debate and the softballs that Stephanopoulos was giving to Biden left and right is that Trump will step into that arena and go against that moderator from the left, and Joe Biden will never do that. Joe Biden won't go one-on-one with Fox unless he has an understanding that he won't get pushed, he won't get pressed, and that's it. The whole QAnon, why the hell are they bringing up QAnon? First of all, they don't even know about QAnon. QAnon's a message board, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like a monolithic thing where there's a publisher. There's a bunch of people giving a bunch of information, really. I mean, how are you going to question a sitting president about QAnon? I thought it was dumb. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to sympathize with the president, but those whole line of questionings were garbage, just garbage. And at the end of the day, I think the president came out once again on top, because he beat them down on their stupid questions. I'm surprised they didn't ask him about Stormy Daniels again.
But it has a reason, if I may say so, because they keep it fueling the media. It gives them quotes. If they keep exactly this bullshit fueling, it gives them room, time, not to ask the real question, as you said, the real important questions.
Not to mention it incites his followers.
Exactly. Yes,
it plays well for him.
It's all dog whistles. All dog whistles.
Well, I disagree. I don't. I'm not saying that asking about policies is not important. Of course, it's the most important thing. But to let a president get away with pretending that these lines of conspiracy theories are fine and are legitimate is a very dangerous thing, because he's
which
using
lines?
That.
Which ones?
The child prostitution rings, and the point that he's the savior of this movement and providing like a counter to these child prostitution rings. It's absurd, and just to give him that tool to recruit and falsely hurl those things in the media is not right.
Okay, so let me just explain this once again. QAnon is not a monolithic thing where there's a publisher. It's a message board. So some of the messages that have come there are, and they were actually the drops. They're called Q drops, I believe. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a big follower of this thing. I had to go back and look, so I had to understand what's going on, because people told me, Pasta, you don't understand what QAnon's about. You're getting it all wrong, as I was explaining Antifa to them. And there's been information that's come into the situation. Now, the biggest motivator to fight pedophilia for me is Epstein and the Democrats and Bill Clinton and all these people with all these ties. That's where the motivation comes from, just because you have some nut jobs dropping some stuff on there when there is some good information that came out there. I mean, there was some prevalent information that went on to some of those Q jobs about them using military equipment, you know, certain money lines. I don't understand how you got to disavow something when it's just a message board. I mean, I think he knows about it and he's kind of playing it off, but I don't think this is a big hurt for him whatsoever. In fact, I think it's a big help. I think those people that when they ask him that question, he's like, I don't know about it. And they're like, yes, Mr. President, you do. He's going to save the children. He's our savior. Completely nuts and crazy, but you put him in that position to do so. And a big reason is because pedophilia exists. And a lot of people right now are participating in it. And they want the shit to go away, but it's not.
Right. And we refuse to talk about it. So we can't ever address the fact that it does happen. So then it gets blown into this big overblown, okay, it's a conspiracy. You're being an alarmist. So I agree, Pasta.
Well, pedophilia does exist, but it's not a political circle thing.
But have you read the WikiLeaks emails?
Why would you tie the Democrats individually?
They tied themselves to it.
No, they're not. They're not
yes,
anymore.
The Podesta emails. If you went back and you read the WikiLeaks emails, the Podesta brothers have complete ties to all of this. It's in their own emails.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny that stuff. Podesta's art, all the connections, 27 times on the plane, multiple witnesses fingering Bill Clinton on the island, multiple IT witnesses filming the whole family, Clinton, Hillary,
Weiner.
Chelsea, the Anthony Weiner laptop. I mean, there's more to it. Listen, I don't believe right now that they're really necessarily taking children and doing this, what do you call that thing, the drug, the adrenochrome shit, and that I think that's going way over the top. But if the bottom floor is Epstein, it's wrong. And a lot of people, politicians, and if you go way back to Bush 1, there's a lot of other guys tied into this whole thing. We need to start getting answers from these people because they have not been brought to justice at all. And it is tied to a lot of Democrats right now because the Democrats are still propping up these people. They're still going around with the Clintons.
Yes, they're donors. The Seagrams heirs.
Epstein was not more tied to the Democrats than he's tied to Trump and people like him. He's actually in his circle. In his circle. He's been filmed with this guy. How can you deny that? I mean, he knows his spouse. He's completely.
I don't think
he was accused by a young lady of actually raping her.
Yeah. I understand, and I followed all these cases. I would like to see that person. That person's never showed up in court.
No, because they were intimidated 2 days before the court case.
We've never seen that person. We've never seen that person. That could be a story put out there. So don't get me wrong. I've looked at all these things, but the connections with Trump and Epstein, there's none really any tight connections besides the one night they spent together in the 80s with the Buffalo Bills cheerleaders in Mar-a-Lago. But everything is logged. Trump threw him out of his what do you call that thing? Mar-a-Lago, his club, years and years ago. There's documents for that. You know what I'm saying? He was never on that plane going to the island. In fact, one time he was on the plane and went from Florida, I think, to New York, and I think Epstein's son was there. The connections between the Clintons are a lot closer than they are for Donald Trump. When you just see stuff and you take it on surface level, you're like, okay. But if you start looking at the money lines, and the people in New Mexico, the Richardsons, who was the governor, you know what I'm saying? He was also a right-hand man of Bill Clinton. The connections are a lot more close and cozier with the Democrats right now than they are with these Republicans.
Okay. At this time, I would like to interrupt because we could easily do a special show around this topic. Let me just speak as someone from Germany, who is not an American, who is not going to cast his vote. This discussion, and at the beginning of this, we were talking about QAnon, and as you rightfully said, Craig, it is no organization just like Antifa. This is complete bullshit. But if you see that we are at a point in our public discussion and also in our political discussion that we have to discuss rumors, and everything is in theory there and conspiracies in parts, and not really political important things, I think, which you guys, which the normal American would really be interested in. I was missing the question, for example, to Trump, what is your plan regarding healthcare? He was bragging for months now, or maybe for a year, that he has a perfect plan for healthcare in his drawer, and we see nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And we should nail him on the facts and what is important for the most Americans. What is going on with the pedophilia ring and Biden and all this crap? This, I think, is a matter of criminal justice. And well, but we should concentrate now on the real questions which every American needs answers to. What about coronavirus? How can I exist? What about the stimulus bill? How big would it be? Will it ever be passed?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Would you like to guys? Would you go?
Yeah. And I didn't want to interrupt the whole discussion, but I think at this point we should do a special around this, and discuss this.
Yeah.
But I think at this moment it is a little bit too much, I guess, right?
Well, I think what you hit on the nose is really what we need to get at, because it's just, isn't it a shame? I know you guys, Chandas, and you guys I'm new to you guys. It's a pleasure to meet you, by the way. Sorry I'm late, but I know you guys with the healthcare, like the medical situation when it comes to Donald Trump. Like you said, he has delivered bupkis. And the fact that the Democrats put up a guy who said he will veto Medicare for all if it gets to him is just a shame, because you can beat Donald Trump on healthcare all day long. All he wants to do is topple and knock down Obamacare, and he's giving us nothing. He's giving us zero. And this is an area, I wish the moderator would say, what about healthcare for all? They talk about it just like, what about a public option? But they don't push the right way.
And what we're seeing, as I said, as a German, and I'm discussing this for years now, for about 5 years now, since I started, since I got into this here. I cannot understand why it is not possible to give a healthcare system which is working like the German, which is by far not the best, But we don't have to worry if we get sick that we get bankrupt, etc. Because this causes more stress. This doesn't do anything good for your health, for your recovery, and all of this, what you are seeing there. And I would like to go over to the next topic with this elegantly. We are talking now about Europe and how they see the situation in America, and there were a YouGov poll lately, which showed that most parts of Europe are absolutely wanting the change. They cannot stand Trump anymore. And if you look at the numbers, look at the red numbers. The red numbers are pro-Trump. It is ridiculous. He gets the highest rankings in Italy with 20%, but even there, 58% want to have Biden in office. It is, I think, in most parts, it is. For me as a German, I'm afraid for what the future concern. And if we look at Europe, where more and more countries are popping up to becoming nationalist countries, it is worrying, And we go over to the next slide before we get into this. Here we can see the public opinion here in Europe in how far we expect the elections to be fair and free. And these are at the beginning, you see the light green numbers. These are those people who think it will be completely fair and free. You can imagine the other ones in the even lighter green. It will be mostly free and fair. This is also not what you can accept and expect from a democracy, in my opinion. But if you look at the orange and red numbers, we don't have any trust anymore. And for me as a German, it is. I'm sorry to say that that the most important country, the US, which brought us democracy, which developed our federal system, does not guarantee any more free and fair elections for their own country, in our perception. this is mind blowing. And last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the trust. There was another one by the Pew Research. If you could see that the leaders, the European and the Germans, are trusting more than Trump, even Putin, Xi Jinping, and all those guys. It is worrying, and it is not only the political surface. It is also not only the corona we are dealing with, it's also what about the climate change? You know, if everyone goes national, we are fucked. This brings me to the discussion here, to the panel, in which another term, which I think is still likely, only because Biden might win the election doesn't mean that he would become president. What would another Trump term mean globally, considering COVID and the climate change? And well, doesn't this mean that we have to prevent Trump, that we are, as I say, doomed to vote for Biden? And I would like to start with our guest, Craig. What do you think?
Well, I mean, nothing will systemically change with Biden. And you know how I know
You
that?
stole my line.
Shonda, we think alike, girl, right over here.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Please exclude America for the moment. Just think globally. Would it mean globally? Yes.
Well, I'm telling globally won't mean anything because nothing's going to change. You know what I'm saying? And Biden is taking fracking money right out of the gate. He's taking twice as much dark money as Donald Trump has right now. I mean, you're talking to a guy who's not going to vote for either one of these candidates whatsoever. But I mean, I'm kind of curious to why people do feel this way in Europe. I don't know if it was just because the Democrats have always been kind of cozy and friendly with the Euro nation and whatnot. And I don't know. I mean, right now I have no confidence in either one of them. And even more so looking at the election thing you have over here, because, once again, the elections here are a friggin' joke. I mean, the shame to me is that we did get Bernie Sanders cheated twice, because that would have had a really awesome systemic effect on the whole global economy, on the whole global environment.
Yes.
I mean, but really, to tell you the truth, I mean, I don't think that we are doomed to vote for Biden because he's not going to do anything different. And I think a lot of people in Europe don't understand that. They might not be able to get in as deep with these candidates as we are. But Biden or Trump, it's the same thing. It really is. I mean, Biden might appear to look better. He might jump back into the Paris Climate Agreement and stuff. But I mean, that's not going to do enough. He's not going to stop fracking. You know how I know he's not going to stop fracking? Chanda, how do I know?
He said it like in his sleep. As soon as he wakes up from his naps, he's saying it. Fracking.
So, I mean, the choice, we're not doomed to vote Biden. We're damned if we do. We're damned if we don't. We're not getting out of the woods in this next 4 years, either way. So really, to tell you the truth, for me, it's just about holding our breath and seeing how we can move forward and really get some serious change up top so that we can help out our environment and stuff. And I'm kind of curious about, seeing with the new Belt initiative that's going through with China through Europe and whatnot, how that's going to really have more of an, I think that's going to have more of a effect than anything we're going to do other than dropping bombs. So
I have to disagree with you a little. I think that if Biden is elected, that globally, Biden will let China, let Russia get away with a lot of things that Trump wouldn't. Look at the tariffs that Trump has imposed. Those would never have came from the Democrats. These disastrous trade deals like NAFTA and the TPP, which the Democrats were pushing, those have global effects, not just domestically. So I kind of think that the Democrats might be worse globally if elected.
Okay. I'm asking this because of course, I'm aware, and you're absolutely right with your impression of Europe and what they think about Biden, because this is a good explain and exactly how the majority in Europe watches the Democrats or the elections, because they despise Trump, and this automatically brings Biden into a better light. We who are into politics, we know exactly that you don't get anything out of Biden. This is clear. But I'm asking this question because look at the situation. For example, a guy like Bolsonaro could be encouraged, to go on, with cutting down the rainforest. Look at Putin, who wants to Crimea. He could also maybe think we can do this and this. It also would encourage maybe China to go on to take Taiwan, or to go more into the seasides where they're already building up islands. I think the question is, could we afford, we have a world order which most of us cannot agree. We know this, but it is still in order. And can we afford, as a human species, to risk the collapse of this order? This is the question, because a Trump win or another presidency would encourage all those big players, and we don't have any good ones mostly here on this earth. Thomas.
I just wanted to respond to Shanda and Pastor about the foreign policy. I don't think Democrats will be worse than what Trump is, because if you look at it, yes, Democrats have traditionally not acted with China, which is not a good actor, and they've let China get away with a lot in the past. The situation in China has just deteriorated ever since with the crimes against humanity that they're conducting against entire populations. And frankly, the trade war and whatever Trump attempted to do against China has not been successful. It's been a failure. And the reason is because the incompetency of going against everybody at the same time, including our allies and economical partners. So it's even if his attempt was to do something about it, it's not worked for our better. And I think that we need to step back and have that as a public matter of debate and see what we can do, because we are in a bind. It's not a simple situation. We're dependent on China. They're holding a lot of our debt, and it's not a trivial issue. You can do things trade-wise against them, but ultimately, if you're doing it the way Trump has, it's only strengthened them. That's the reason they're succeeding in Australia, in Africa, and all over the world. They've made inroads during Trump's administration.
Yeah.
Pasta, please.
Yield your time.
Oh, so the China story. Here we go again. I guess my good friend was referring to the BBC story that really doesn't have a lot of backing in legs in Xinjiang, talking about the Uyghurs and that whole situation. We'll kind of stay out of that. Listen, the only way we're going to get anything done when it comes to a clean environment, a good environment globally, it's not what we do, any relationship we have with Europe. What we have to do is scale back, come back home, and set an example ourselves. Right now, I think the only way out of this trouble, whether it be, and I'm talking about economically in the United States, or maybe that will have an effect globally, whether it be Biden, whether it be Trump, is that we need a big, clean infrastructure bill back here at home. I mean, that's the only way I can think we can get out of it. All this talk about what's your relationship going to be with Andrea Merkel, with the fact that she's buying gas and oil from the Russians, and what can we do over here? Can we jump back in the Paris Climate Agreement? Well, the first thing we can do is stop intervening military-wise. Stop dropping bombs, because that would probably help out the environment. But the second thing we can do, and once again, this is the only way out of the weeds. We have to scale back, set an example at home, change our power grids. And that's why I would like to see more of politics in the United States be a little bit more about, compensation and compromise and meeting in the middle, rather than demonizing the other side, that Trump's a Nazi and Biden's a commie. And, find a way that we can come together. I had that dream that when Donald Trump won, I thought Bernie Sanders was going to walk over to Biden and say, the hell with you, Nancy Pelosi and Schumer. I'm done with you schmucks. You can't do anything. And being the leader of the progressive movement at that time, too, as well, go over to Donald Trump and force an infrastructure bill and force it to be green. Now, he wasn't going to get everything, but we probably have a halfway clean infrastructure bill at home. But the only way to get this done is just to lead by example. We got to stop going around and telling everybody what they can do and show what we're capable of doing in a clean, beautiful way. And by the way, the most people pulled out of poverty in the last decade has been China. Xi Jinping has been a big part of that. And the Uyghur story really doesn't have a lot of backing and legs behind it, whatnot. We have to stop demonizing China, especially since we know nothing about it, because they've gotten even better with their. I know it's very, very easy to push our pollution issues on China and India all the time. But how about us? Let us lead by example before we continue to point the finger.
Good point. Good point. All right, Chanda.
China.
I'm going to pass on this one. I just, I've pretty much said what I've said when it comes to the Dems and their disastrous trade agreements. I just don't think that they're going to be better on foreign policy. If anything, they'll allow the looting. Yes, they'll allow the looting of what's really left. And, they always come out platitude wise very strong on the environment, but when it comes to actual policy, they sell us down the road repeatedly. And we know a lot of these agreements are so they can put snake pipelines across Europe and the Middle East. So you're not going to convince me that the Dems are going to be better on foreign policy.
Yeah, especially the TPP thing that you pointed out too as well, Chanda, because that would open up the floodgates for forget about it. Even more drill, baby, drill. Let's bring Sarah Palin back, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I just want to put an
It's our responsibility to hold them to what they're saying and to their policies.
They don't give a
on an
shit what we
ongoing
hold
basis.
them to.
The other side, Trump's side, is actually running on the opposition to those ecological policies. So you can't even intimidate them with it hurting them in the ballots.
Can I put an exclamation point on this real quick?
Yeah.
Who's that? Wait, who's that?
That's God.
This is God.
Is God speaking?
God is speaking. God speaking. Hey, I just want to remind everybody, Obama, which you talked about, his last gift to the world oligarch, which was in unison with him opening up drilling in the Arctic, was the TPP in his last year as president. That was the biggest scam on the public that I have seen in my life as far as in their face. So yes, TPP, Shanda, Pasta,
yes,
absolutely. That would have killed us, killed labor.
Which Trump killed, but you have to give the credit to the progressives for actually killing that. I worked Rock's TPP, which we traveled trying to warn people that TPP would be more devastating to the working class of America than NAFTA was. So, yeah, Trump gets credit for that, but that was progressives that stopped that. And it was by calling out the Democrats like Hillary Clinton, who said, oh, I haven't read it. Or my local Derek Kilmer, head of the Young Democrats, I don't know if I'm going to support it. Damn well knew they were going to support it because Obama told them they were going to support it.
Oz, Chanda, I love you guys. We're so on the same. Not that I don't love you guys over there, Marcus and my new friend, but it's these guys. We're on the same wavelength. It seems. I was going to say almost a lot of stuff about that right there too. And let's also point out that it was the Democrats that passed NAFTA as well. You know what I'm saying? When we're on these trade agreements, we don't want to let anybody off the hook over here. But yeah, I mean, seriously, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. That was the one area that I thought that the Democrats, no matter what, the night I went to sleep when Donald Trump was elected president, I thought there were two things. One thing I really worried about and one thing I really hoped for. I thought he would be more of a non-interventionist than he is right now. He's been better than the Democrats that were in before him, where he hasn't expanded from 2 to 7 wars like Obama did, and Joe Biden giving the thumbs up for the regime change in the Ukraine, which we don't even talk about. We talk about Burisma. We don't talk about thousands of people dying on the Maidan and supporting neo-Nazis in Western Ukraine. We don't talk about that thing. We leave that aside. But the two areas were, number one, let's hope he was a non-interventionist. Number two, I knew that Donald Trump was going to be awful when it came to the environment. I knew he was going to be a big oil guy, whatnot. I mean, but what did we get before him? We got lip service. Well, let's see how things play out at Standing Rock. Let's see how things play out, Barack. Where are you, Joe? They're getting their heads beat in over here. Water protectors. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we might get the friendly lip service from the Democrats. We get the truth from Donald Trump, the harsh truth with truth. But we're damned if we do. We're damned if we don't when it comes to energy and it comes to the environment, whether it be Biden or Donald Trump.
we'll see where it leads. And that we are talking about climate gives me the opportunity to go over to the next segment, and we will talk about, I think we'll also have a good discussion about this one. It is Biden's Green New Deal. And Amos, what do you got?
I wouldn't call it Biden's Green New Deal, but I did do some research because I wanted to see what differs in the plans. He's accused, of course, by Trump of basically going with the Green New Deal, and Biden says, no, I have my own plan. So I wanted to see what, in fact, are the differences between the plans. So as you can see, the plan, the Green New Deal is, here it's reversed actually. The Green New Deal is not specifying the amount, but it was assumed, it was analyzed by some economists, and some put it at 15 trillion, some even higher. The spending on it by the Biden plan is much more limited. It's 2 trillion over 4 years. On the focus, they both focus on fair housing environment, labor, unions, infrastructure, green technology, jobs, and climate justice. So the focus is comprehensive in that regard, in both cases. In terms of housing, affordable housing for all is what the Green New Deal is calling for. And by comparison, Biden's plan only calls for 1.5 million new sustainable housing units created. It doesn't say anything about their affordability or anything like that. And also it talks about upgrading millions of buildings to be more energy efficient. On employment, supporting the Green New Deal is supporting just job transitions. That means that if you're like a coal miner, you will have a way to transition with a wage during the transition period, to be qualified to work on something else. And it's also mimicked by Biden's plan, is also supporting that type of transition. Now, he doesn't mention, though, living wages, which is a question that is important as well. On the environment, the Green New Deal is calling for extensive cleanup, carbon pollution-free power generation by 2035, net zero emissions by, that's reversed. This is Biden's plan. I apologize. So net zero by 2050. The Green New Deal is also talking about exclusive cleanup, but mentions 100% of power demand through clean and green energy and zero emissions by 10 years. So it's more aggressive in that regard. Environmental justice. The Green New Deal is asking for to help remedy inequities in minority populations and indigenous people's communities, and also addressing issues that have arisen due to climate change that affect those populations. The Biden plan, in contrast, is talking about 40% of its spending to go to historical disadvantaged communities, and calls for establishment of environmental and climate justice division at the Justice Department to prosecute anti-pollution cases, which is also something. Fracking, as we know, that's been a contended issue, and that's really...
Read it and say it. No ban on fracking.
No ban on fracking.
I'm not going to ban on fracking. I only said that in the primary to hoodwink some of the progressives.
Now, let's discuss this, because that is an issue that Trump has pulled for a reason. He knows that this is a place where he can cause disarray between progressive voters and Biden stands. So it's the reason he's bringing it up. Now, what Biden is proposing is a moratorium on fracking in federal lands, which you could say is not that impressive. It's not enough.
Not at all.
It's not enough at all to curb methane escaping into the atmosphere, which is known to be like 87 times more deadly to the atmosphere than is a carbon. So there's a big issue with that. However, he's afraid of losing Pennsylvanian votes, and this is why he's doing it. The Green New Deal doesn't really even mention fracking, but the assumption is that they would definitely, it's not even necessary to mention because they would ban it. But it in all honesty, it doesn't address the issues of fracking at all in the Green New Deal. So those are the differences. I think people in the environmental community have looked at it, and I've looked at the responses of the Sunrise Movement and so forth, and they're giving it passing grades. But to me, ultimately, it's not enough if you're late to the train by 5 minutes or an hour. And Trump not making the train at all is not much better than missing the last 5 minutes of the train having left the station. But with all that said, we're talking about a 4 years plan. And if we are going to be in an aggressive trajectory, there's always a chance of course correction during that period of time, versus if we do the exact opposite and increase fossil fuels as Trump's administration wishes to do. To me, the environment is the most important aspect, because our survival as a planet depends on it. So to me, that is a very crucial thing, and I think there's a difference. There's a light between the two positions.
Yeah. Especially, it's like 47 years of light, since that's how many years Joe Biden has been in office and been part of, politics and been a lawmaker and has done nothing. Zero. Zip. And this whole watered down Green New Deal, which was stolen from the Green Party and then just virtue signaled out there, is nothing more than a resolution. Nobody's serious about any real legislation getting through when it comes to the environment. If they were, the AOC, the first thing she supported was the Off Fossil Fuels Act, which actually made a lot more sense. It had its own areas, but it really made sense. Now we're talking about a resolution over here, and Biden, who hasn't done anything for the environment for 47 years, and then he's adamant about making sure that he's not going to ban fracking. It doesn't make a difference what this says over here. This is nothing more than lip service. Lip service. These people have done nothing for us and the environment for years. We've seen time after time after time. And plus, how can you believe anything he says when he takes that money, when he takes energy money right off the bat? He took money from Comcast, I believe, and then Big Oil right off the bat, right off the jump. So how can we trust anything he says? So, I mean, if you want to vote for Biden because you think it's going to be better for the environment and you're going to hold on to some sliver of hope, I'm just telling you should change your mind right off the bat.
Well, we'll have to.
When they're rubbing it in your face. Sorry?
Go ahead.
I'm saying especially when they're rubbing it in your face and telling you they're not going to ban fracking. These people, these Democrats will do anything and say anything just to get your vote and then go back to their corporate donors and do their bidding.
I'm not happy about that, and everybody here knows my position on that. But the point is still that Trump's expressed policy and direction is 180 degrees away from that. He's going to do full speed in the opposite direction. Biden claims that is his policy, and we have to keep our job is to keep him true to that. And if we fail to do that, that's on us. But
he hasn't done anything in 47 years. Nothing.
And let's look at some other thing. If whatever you may think about Kamala Harris, At least she's one of the first people who supported the Green New Deal.
And then she said she's not. They're not going to ban fracking.
That's correct, because she's part of the Biden administration. However, it is likely that she's going to replace Biden at some point, and at that point, we don't know.
And God help us. God help us.
But can I just point out, Planet of the Humans?
Whatever else you think about her,
her own state is on fire. Her own state is on fire. She's got plenty of things she could do in California. Super Democratic majority, liberal as can be, right? And she's done nothing. Squat. Sorry, Chanda.
No, not to mention Gary Newsom and the crap that he pulls in California constantly. But can I just point out Planet of the Humans and the fact that a Green New Deal is not going to do shit for slowing down the destruction of the environment? To make these resources that we need, that we're just pulling more resources out of the ground. We're still processing petroleum-based products. Until we address that, the Green New Deal is just a shill that's being pushed on us to placate us.
Yeah,
it was for AOC. It's a topic for a whole other discussion. But
yes, exactly. And I would like only to add that why I don't buy it, because I think these are only intentions in the first place. And when it comes that Biden gets elected and gets a presidency, he will look. He will have a deep look at his books, and then he will see there is no money left. So this thing is off the table pretty quickly. So I think I don't buy it. What is written there, because for several reasons, as Craig said, Biden is no one who got fame, for his progressive attitude to new technologies, new energies. Anyway. I think we should go on and maybe a little bit less heated now. Yeah. Let's have a look. Oh no, we got insight and awareness. $10 from him. Thanks, UHM. I support your efforts to bring real news to the airwaves. Thank you for watching. Thanks to all our watchers in chat on the different platforms. And yes, well, let's have a look at this past week and. Oh God, where can I start? Let's start with I got it on Twitter. Also, you got to activate it on Twitter. It is we see Darth Turtle there, and we can see how he.
Nobody finds that funny. Oh, would you call him
Darth Turtle?
Darth Turtle, and well, and. He shows his all empathy with the people, and maybe Oz can activate it.
Where's it at, Mark?
Oh, okay. You did not check it. It's in line 26 in the rundown.
Oh, forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm falling. You're gonna
fire
your engineer. Fire your engineer.
Yeah.
I've got him spoiled.
Yes. Well, Mitch McConnell, the meme says this. He takes his state very, very seriously. 44th in healthcare, 48th in healthcare quality, 38th in education, 43rd in higher education, 39th in economy, 44th in employment, 44th in economic opportunity, and 54th in fiscal stability. So this is a state you want to live in, right? Woohoo! Woohoo! Yes, and maybe Oz is ready now, and yes, this is how a turtle laughs.
Give me one more second here. So sorry.
One more second.
One more second.
Right.
Tick.
Darth Turtle.
After we got him, we will address.
But I love turtles.
You love turtles.
Not this
one.
Why
are you destroying that for me?
It is a new species they discovered shortly, and you might not be familiar with this. Not all turtles are good, and not every turtle is a ninja turtle, almost.
Yeah. Did you say
Well, I can give some clarity to why he's still winning elections and why he's still a leader in that state and running the Senate. And
please.
Simply because he shows up. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, he'll debate his opponent. He's done it. He's got in there when Ashley Judd was running around. He just was debating his last opponent. He doesn't hide. He whether that's the difference between some of these Republicans and these establishment Democrats. Nancy Pelosi, she hasn't debated in what 30 years or something. She won't debate her opponent. She won't mention his name. You know what I'm saying? She just hides.
Let's stick to Mitch McConnell for a second.
Well,
and
then Mitch McConnell will face his opponent and come out there, and as much nonsense you think that Mitch McConnell has, or what an asshole he is, he'll at least come forward and come true with his feelings and align his ideology with the people who live there. You know, I don't think you have the most educated voter there whatsoever. Really small, simple-minded people who are, you know, just, you know, I'm going to say less informed, not deep into the politics. So he speaks to them, you know, and he might speak some serious malarkey. You see all these statistics. Arkansas and Kentucky are two states that are really just, you know, down on the totem pole when it comes to finances, education, and the whole 9 yards. But that picture you see right there, he'll go face his opponents. So a lot of people who really don't know about policy, they'll say, well, at least Mitch got out there and took the heat, you know, and that works for him, unlike some of the Democrats who just simply hide.
He's Teflon. He's like Stephen Miller, in my opinion. But let's run the
turtle shell.
Yeah, exactly.
Bill in May, and the Senate went on vacation. I mean, you just don't do that. You negotiate. Senator, it is a national crisis. Yeah. You knew that the coronavirus wasn't going to end at the end of July. We knew this. I mean, I just think you've got to. And here's the thing: if you want to call yourself a leader,
Bill,
if you want to call yourself a leader, you got to get things done. And those of us that served in the Marines, we don't just point fingers at the other side. We get the job done.
Gotta love that.
Yes.
You know what he does, though? He goes around to all these town halls. He goes to his constituents, and he tells them the Democrats inside that HEROES Act that she's talking about wanted to amend the HAVA Act. They wanted to throw pork in there, and pork in there, and he'll play that. And even though some of the pork will be really good, you know, from that bill, from the HEROES Act, a lot of it had nothing to do with coronavirus, had nothing to do with what was going on. In fact, it wanted to amend the HAVA Act, like I said. So Mitch McConnell's going to point that out over and over and over again. And the Democrats are still playing the old stupid drum. She actually was accusing him still of the Bountygate story in Afghanistan. Now, a lot of people, even simple-minded people in Kentucky, are like, they won't stop with the Russiagate stuff. They won't stop with these bullshit stories. They don't attack them on policy. They don't show us any policy that's going to be better for us. So why should I rather stick with the demon I know than rather choose a new demon that I don't know? And that's the way he comes off and wins these elections. Look, I'm not here to sympathize with Mitch McConnell in any form. But there's a reason why he keeps getting reelected, and a lot of Republicans in these districts do get reelected, and the Democrats never get in power.
Yeah.
This is too much stress for a Saturday morning, you guys.
I thought I was coming on to talk to you guys about simple stuff. I'm like, oh, no, here we go.
Oh, no, no joke is no joke.
Yes, yeah, we are not joking here, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
I might have to replace the battery of my pacemaker.
Lithium.
Well, it shows in the end. It shows, you know, that everything drips off Mitch McConnell. Every accusation, every dirt. He is not impressed by anything, and in a certain strange and absurd way, it deserves respect. You know, to be so to have such a thick skin. You know. Crazy, absolutely crazy, you know. And well, this is only one example from what we saw last week. We got another one, and for this, I would like you to play the next show slide 30 before because we are addressing we know her.
Oh shit!
And Amos,
who did that?
Amos was so fine, you know, and, because she is not quite sure with food or drinks anymore. As I
say. We feed them.
We feed them. Yeah,
we feed them.
And look, I finally understood the second fridge in the back. It's not for food, you know. At the end of the day, she goes in there, stays there until the morning, and she appears fresh again. This is the only explanation I have for this, man.
What the hell is that? Is that her Frigidaire crypt? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, she's a kind of political vampire, like
Shit.
We're coming later to this, like another woman. Okay. Anyway, please show slide 31, and we only need a few seconds of it to get
This will get us all fired up.
Oh no!
And, yes, and look at Wolf Blitzer. Wolf Blitzer, who in my imagination was always a member of the Muppets ensemble, because he's so stoic there. I expect to have a puppet player with his hand stuck up his butt, and make the moves, the rare moves he does, But oh my God, if even Wolf Blitzer and Nancy Pelosi collide, hell no! Please run it.
As you know, there are Americans who are being evicted from their homes. They can't pay the rent. Many Americans are waiting in food lines for the first time in their lives. Can you look them in the eye, Madam Speaker, and explain why you don't want to accept the president's latest stimulus offer?
Well, because, thank you very much, Wolf, and I hope you'll ask the same question of the Republicans about why they don't really want to meet the needs of the American people. But let me say to those people, because all of my colleagues, we represent these people. I have for over 30 years represented my constituents. I know what their needs are. I listen to them. And
we lost down, Oz.
In the president.
Yes, it doesn't matter because we can stop there already, because she claims very proudly that she represented the constituents for more than 40 years. There is so much wrong in this line, at first, 40 years in office, and then representation. I think every word in this line was wrong, and it shows how far away they are. Later in the interview, he repeats 4 times that she and the Democratic Party represents exactly the people who are now suffering, who are in pain right now, and I don't think that a woman, with 2 fridges full packed with ice cream can really feel how those people are suffering, and it was crazy. It was crazy to see that even Wolf Blitzer gets in confrontation with her, You guys, what do you?
It was straight ego, Marcus. That was straight ego.
Yeah,
I mean, it was right along the lines of Trump. How dare you challenge her? So she's going to keep coming back at you, and she just made herself look bad. She had, no compassion. Do you feed them? We didn't run that, but. That's so reminiscent of Marie Antoinette and let them eat cake, but look at how that turned out for them. So I'm holding out hope that Pelosi gets kind of the same, finish.
She couldn't stand his signature on the stimulus bill check. This I think this is also a motivation for her, to be so far away from the people.
Yeah. I think the motivation, too, is that the fact that another stimulus bill passed right now will look good for Donald Trump, and she didn't want that to happen, so she can try to hold out as long as we can. I had a friend of mine overseas who saw this and said, listen, I'm changing my mind. Donald Trump's going to win the election. This was a game changer. And I really think this hurt the Democrats and Joe Biden, what she did right over here.
Yeah.
But that's this woman right here. You come to California, my man, and you go every single bridge in Los Angeles and San Francisco.
I read it. Yes.
Area. It's ridiculous. And she's been in power for how long? And this is her district. And the thing that this was so I was just so pissed off when I seen this, when I heard this. But I got to tell you something. I wasn't surprised. Yeah. I wasn't surprised at all that Nancy Pelosi came at us with this type of language. We feed them like Marie Antoinette, like we said. I hope it does end up the same way. Unfortunately, it's going to be really tough to take her down. Yeah. But this is this was no surprise. We have a video right there right now playing a clip of this when we did this the other day, and it's just been getting out there and snowballing. You know what I'm saying? So I think this was a game changer, and she really put her party in a bad position. And everybody's going to look at the Democrats and say it was like the Democrats didn't want to get us a stimulus bill, because let's not forget that little extra cheese that's coming to us right now for the unemployment is coming from Donald Trump's executive order, and that's the last thing people are going to remember before they go into that voting booth, and it's going to hurt them.
Yeah, of course it will. Yeah.
You're saying there's no reason to hold off. There's no reason to demand more of these incentives? I mean, there's people who are going to become homeless in just a couple of months.
There was nothing that in the HEROES Act that's going to stop that. There's no renters relief there either. So I mean, we're talking about extra trillions kicked down to other things that don't necessarily need it. And I'm sorry, it's a little bit too late. You had a voice vote, Nancy Pelosi, so nobody can go on record for the CARES Act, which was the greatest transfer of wealth upwards, even bigger than what happened in 2008. So everybody's on the hook for that one. The Squad, Nancy Pelosi, even Tulsi Gabbard, my friend over there, they're all on the hook for that. You know what I'm saying? So when they try to pass another bill and without a standalone bill that would just kick money directly to the people, and then Donald Trump says, I'm ready to sign a standalone bill. You want to give $1,200 to people right now? Get it to my desk and I'll sign it right now. And if they cannot make that happen, it's going to affect badly on Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. Don't get me wrong. This is where Donald Trump could have sewed up this election a long time ago. He could have went and bastardized the Senate Republicans and talked down to them, used the bully pulpit and say, I'm giving money directly to the people, assistance right to them. But he didn't take the bull by the horns either. No. And he gave all his corporate friends money as well. Yes. But at the end of the day, it just looked like it's a pile of crap on everybody. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And you're absolutely right, pile of crap, because Wolf Blitzer in this interview later asked her, when did you last spoke to the president? And she said, I don't speak to the president. You know, and in this situation, there you see exactly who those people are caring for. This is themselves and nobody else. You know,
and they're not going to be the ones suffering if there's a defeat
of course not.
in the upcoming elections. I'm just curious, who here is supportive of supports Shahid Buttar? And I'm also asking the
Can I just say that till we get some election integrity, we're not going to get rid of these dinosaurs like Pelosi or McConnell. No. And so, you know, that's the number one thing I think progressives need to be screaming about is ranked choice voting and, you know, these proprietary machines that we can't audit. So till we get that, there's no point. Yeah, I support Shahid. I think he's great. He's very insightful, but I just don't think he has a chance.
Yeah,
and I kind of want to echo what she said there because I kind of feel the same way. I call myself a friend to Shahid. I mean, he's been on the show 3 times. I went up to a protest at Nancy Pelosi's house in a caravan protest wearing a chicken suit with a sign that said #Nancy won't debate. I mean, usually I cover these protests. This one I felt so compelled to join and whatnot. And I love Shahid. And those problems are really, really serious, what Chanda pointed out. We have systemic issues with our elections. The way the mail-in ballots and the absentee ballots go out with no security, no tracking. Bad thing, ripe for fraud, says Jimmy Carter, not Donald Trump and William Barr. I'll say that again, says Jimmy Carter. The proprietary software, which they can just flip a switch and fix it. But we've also crossed the line, and I'm kind of interested to hear you guys talk about this. I think when it comes to people like Shahid or people who are running as a Democrat and they did it strategically, they can't do that anymore. The Democratic Party has hurt themselves so much that you're going to have to find a way to go outside of the Democratic Party and try to beat down some of these establishment players, whether it be in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. But I think it's the end. I really do. I think one of the things that's hurting Shahid is that the fact is he's trying to be strategic about this whole thing, not essentially bashing some of the Democrats. In other words, he calls Trump our criminal president, but he calls the Democrats our corporate Democrats. Well, that's going to weigh into a lot of people's mind and the independents and say, you know what? You can't take out the corruption calendar and let the Democrats get away with what they're doing. If you're going to call him our criminal president, you better call them our criminal Democrats. But that's a problem because how do you run for criminal Democrat when you're trying to beat them? So I think this is a point where we've crossed the line where it's not strategic to run Democrat anymore. And even though it might be hard to break through third party or independent, that's the route that's going to have to go. And it doesn't make a difference anyways, because like Chanda said, the elections are already fixed anyways. So.
Yeah, I don't think a third party will ever reach the 3 or 5% thresholds.
It would have if Jesse Ventura was in the Green Party.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, thanks to David Crow for your $10.
Crow.
All right. Transforming energy policy is job number 1. Oil is the reason for the U.S. Navy. Yeah, thank you, David. Let's go on. And next one is the stunt your president had in mind when he was released from Walter Reed. well, it seems, according to the New York Times, that he had telephone calls with some people he trusts, and he planned to do the following thing. He wanted to appear as a cranky man, and then suddenly would tear off his shirt, and there would be a Superman T-shirt below, and this fits exactly to the times we are living in. I would not be surprised if he would have done this.
I wish he had.
He's actually wearing it.
I wish he had.
Under.
Oh, yeah, I did not take this in consideration. Yeah, this would. Why not?
He's a super spreader.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're coming to this right now, and there we are seeing. He's looking for the masses, and catch it. He's spreading the love.
Who did this? Amos was this you?
Amos with his Photoshop skills. Yeah.
Amos, you're great.
And I love the next one. And Amos did also his magic for this one. Yeah. Also an old Supertramp album, Crisis What Crisis. I think it was from 73 or 72. And as we know, Chris Christie joined the Crisis, and he didn't pull his mask on. As you can see, he only holds it in his hand, and he got kind of cured. He got very, very. He sounded very, very responsible when he talked about the danger of the virus and how he could get it, in the White House, and he thought that he would there in a safe place. I mean, really, some guys become governor anyway. I hope he recovers. I don't wish anyone anything bad, but Chris Christie, my God. Yeah. Then we got the Amy Farrah Fowler, having her hearing regarding the Supreme Court, and what we got out of her was not much. It was only blah 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 and fuck you all, blah blah blah.
Feinstein liked it.
But it can't. Yeah, Feinstein loved it. She could.
Hold on. Yeah,
don't jump ahead.
All right, yes. Sorry.
All right. Next one is the moneymakers. We got NBC and ABC. I think both got good money for performances no one really needed anymore. Right? Anyone got anything news out of this? Any new thoughts, new impressions? I think no one, but it was okay. They got their chunk of money from this, and
I got a good night's sleep at Biden's forum. I just fell asleep.
So did he?
Yeah.
Yes, in the audience. Yeah, and there's another one. Amos was so free to add a golfing scene with the president, and who else is in there? Amos,
Jerry Ford.
I see Trump saying, call me. You can always tell one by the color of their clothes.
Oh, shit.
All right. Yes. And breaking news before we go over to the next segment.
Oh, shit.
Rudy Giuliani says the man who actually killed the fake Osama bin Laden was Hunter Biden, despite what has been believed till now.
Killed him with his crack pipe.
Yeah. Choked him to death with a crack pipe.
Or with his hard drive. I don't know.
It's one of those.
This could be misunderstood. Okay.
Here we go. Let's shout out to Dan.
And there's Density. Thank you, Dan. 13 US dollars from Dan. Thanks for your donation. All right. Now we are coming to a love story nobody expected.
Shit.
And it happened to the Supreme Court hearings, and I had, when I saw this, I had George Michael's in mind, Careless Whisper, and we see it is about Diane and Lindsay, and it's a photo love story. We did not expect this, and it came suddenly. Well, they had slight approaches, during this, and you could see they used shelters, nothing happened, and yeah, and they found sympathy for each other, as it seems. And later, when Lindsay addressed the audience, she just fell in love with him, and yeah,
she did.
Yeah, oh my God, I so admire his backbone. So much flexibility. It really turns me on. Yeah, and there she makes the first real approach. And
come to mama. I thought that was Nancy.
No. This is also.
Oh, the Senate. Never mind. Wrong mama.
Yeah. And and then she's singing a little song into his ear. The Whitney Houston one, and
love is in the air.
Shit.
Yes, yeah, and COVID is in the air, and they were so overwhelmed by their feelings, that they completely forgot it, and though it seems that Lindsay is not so into it, and he's thinking a little bit help, and then we can see Nancy's, she's happy, and
haven't they heard of social distancing? What the hell?
It was the best Senate hearings that she's ever sat in on.
Don't you feel it touching?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have any more footage, and luckily, I think we don't know what happened next, and
we don't want to know.
Oh God.
We should not imagine this. Yeah.
Shanda, you just made me vomit. Okay.
I didn't. They should make you vomit.
Well, obviously, I think Democrats should have just walked out. Why they haven't done that is beyond me. They have
exactly. Why'd they show up?
They have no reason to sit on these.
Maybe
it shouldn't even happen.
Maybe it's a first step into party unity, into a one-party system,
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Graham as a rep, and you got her, maybe they're coming together and all this stuff.
Really?
I think it is a one-party system right over here.
It already is,
but
baby.
officially,
official
with rings and stuff,
Make it official.
Got to tie that. Got to tie
and
that.
once again, the way they go after these, first of all, the judges, the Supreme Court nominees, and all this, you got to vote for the blue because you can't let the Republicans select federal judges and stuff like that. First of all, it's a bunch of hogwash. It's overplayed. The real issue is the fact that the legislation, our Congress, is supposed to make more laws, update our laws, and the Supreme Court is supposed to be nothing more than a referee. But they keep abdicating and sending all this stuff and kicking up to the courts because they don't want to have any political backlash on their decisions. So the most amazing thing I saw in this hearing is when ACB, when she told me, she says, it's kind of your job, guys, to make the laws. We're supposed to be here and referee this crap. And I'm an originalist of sorts, and I'm going to look at the laws the way it was written, when it was written, what they were trying to interpret it. Now, a lot of people don't like that because it doesn't kind of lead up to modern times. But that leads to the fact that, listen, stop being lazy, Congress. Make some friggin' laws over here. Amend some laws. Get it done. Even when it comes to foreign policy, since the AUMF, Congress is just releasing themselves of any responsibility and any type of backlash by kicking it to the executive branch or kicking it upstairs. The real lie is, let's get a Congress that's going to work for us and make some laws for modern times today. Let's not worry about the Supreme Court all the time. Let's get a Congress that's going to write some laws.
Well, there is a problem with that, right? Because you can legislate laws, but if they can be struck down because they're supposedly anti-constitutional due to your interpretation of the Constitution, then you can't make other laws.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's going to be particular situations, but once again, the Supreme Court's there to act as a referee. You know what I'm saying? You have to make laws that are in modern times today that once you sign a bill into a law, and if the Supreme Court has to look at it, their job is simply to interpret the law when it was written and how it was written. The fact is that we're not making laws.
This would be the ideal, but if it is not what we are seeing right now.
No, because it's rigged. You can't go against the Constitution.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And well, okay. Let's go on. And I would like Oz to go to slide 52. Because I think this explains it all. It is about not a new thing anymore, but I think it is. It shows that it works, and it is about liquid nanoclay, which was developed, for example, by a company in Norway. They are called Desert Control, and they are trying to reflourish the deserts. And how it works is explained in this video in the first 2 minutes. Then you can stop it, Oz.
Is it possible to convert arid land into fertile soil? That was one of the main reasons why Desert Control invented liquid nanoclay, LNC in short. Through a patented process, LNC combines clay and water into a compound. The mix is then spread onto sandy soil and enables the soil to retain water, turning desert into fertile soil. The compound is applied with sprinklers to spread irrigation water across the affected land. The water creates a 40 to 60 centimeter deep layer, which retains the water like a sponge. This method saves water and increases yields. Cultivating sandy soil into fertile land normally takes from 7 to 15 years. Desert Control's LNC accomplishes that in just 7 hours.
Holy smokes.
One application of LNC could last a minimum of 5 years. Production of LNC happens on site using only natural components. Customers will save between 1/2 to 2/3 of the water they are currently using to irrigate land for food and biocrops. If liquid nanoclay were used in just 1% of the targetable arid land to reforest, the uptake would be 26 million tons of CO2 per year. Based in Stavanger, Norway, Desert Control is a clean tech company that specializes in turning deserts to green land using their patented liquid nanoclay. They are currently showcasing applications in Saudi Arabia and Dubai.
And that's where they got the money.
Hey, guys, I am so sorry to be that student that came late and has to leave early, but I have another show to do. I didn't realize we were going to be going this long today. I do apologize.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's all good.
But I have to jump off.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming.
And come back.
See you soon, I hope.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah, I just want to say, guys, the reason why, I also, one of the reasons why I've been asking Oz and Chanda to come back on too as well is I don't know if you all know, and thank you to the guests today and everybody else for letting me jump on in, but the Convo Couch has actually received a strike for a story we did on Wayfair almost four months ago. But a lot of it has to do, we think we've gotten warnings before for our election coverage, our Super Tuesday. They've given us no rhyme or reason. All we did was cover the election like we were a regular news channel would do it, where I was in the studio and my partner was out going checking the polls. And eventually they just took us down because they said we were misleading about elections, whatnot. It's part of their guidelines that you can't mislead anybody. And that's the reason why they gave us a strike. So unfortunately, we've been shut down for a week. We are going to appeal it. But it's no joke right now as we're looking at a time of mass censorship. The purge is coming before the election. They want to get the truth tellers off the air. They want to suspend us, demonetize us, hurt us as much as we can. So I came on today too as well for a plea for everybody to go over to the Convo Couch on Rockfin, ROKFIN. I know Uphill Media is there as well. And maybe you can help us out and hopefully we get through these times. But this is the thing we talked about when it came to a lot of those progressives and stuff. They got to pay attention to your civil liberties. We got to pay attention to censorship because it's a form of fascism and it's on our doorstep and it's coming for all of us.
Yeah, thank you, Pasta. I just want to jump in and say we're going to be doing a segment to that tonight on Beauty and the Boomer. If you're around, you want to stick in. We're going to focus specifically on censorship, right, Chanda?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
big
And I
time.
would love to have you come on The Accidental Activist. I don't think any of us are actually born activists except for maybe Oz. And I would love to hear your story at some point, Pasta.
Definitely, guys. Hey, guys, thank you so much today. What great
luck.
topics, great debate. And I look forward to seeing and speaking more with you guys in the future. You guys were awesome. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Pasta.
you.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
This is very interesting, this nanoclay. I got to say, boy, what a difference that would make in so many regions globally. Very interesting, whoever brought this segment.
I think they're already doing this on some scale in Israel, as far as I remember, with success. And further, they've found that using brackish water or salt water actually works for certain crops. And in the case of tomatoes, it even makes them sweeter. So they had to dilute the salt in the water to make them less sweet because they were just too sweet for people. So there's things coming on that may have huge implications in terms of large-scale farming.
Imagine what this would do for Africa, especially around the Saharan.
It is already tested, for example, in Egypt, in the Nile region, because they found out that due to the dams there certain minerals which were normally transported regularly every year by the Nile were missing, and this also caused the deserts in the near region. And when they started with the nanoclay, that they added the nanoclay to the new floodings, and then they saw it developed, so the whole concept was developed 15 years ago already, and now it is slowly going into the winning zone, that they can sell this product, and that those people can get a better life from this. I think this is one of the products you should support, because it really brings people forward, Right. This was a long show so far, and let's have a look at what's coming next. And I know that tonight later we have the Beauty and the Boomer After Dark, and yes, you can see they voted. Poor guys.
I love that hair, Shonda. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then, of course, there is the Daily Show, The Dive, every day, every working day at 10 a.m. And, of course, we have Armas. We have a progressive update. And it's Trump's big bet and the likely post-election game. What do you have there, Armas? Can you give us more information on this?
Well, I want to examine the possible scenarios of what could untangle if the election results are disputed, which is almost a certainty at that point, and how that will impact all of us. And just wanted to mention our last interview. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed that, interviewing this guy that was Daryl Lamont Jenkins, who's an Antifa supporter and works independently to oppose right-wing extremists, be it neo-fascists, white supremacists, separatists, and the like. So that was kind of interesting, and you can watch the show in playback.
Yeah, it was a great interview. I got to tell you, it was interesting.
Thanks.
Yes. All right. So we are nearing the end, and before we go out, I'd like to thank our viewers for watching and for the patience with us, and of course I'd like to thank my channel, our guest who is already gone, and have a great week. Don't forget to tune in tonight later for the Beauty and the Boomer, and we are going out with a special song, of course, Super Trump, Reckless in America, because I think this describes the situation quite perfectly. Anything you want to add before we go out?
I just love that we can have these conversations. Not very many media groups will actually allow opposition and the conversations that we do. So I'm proud of us. We don't bicker, we don't fight, we have the conversations, and we're nothing but love in the green room with each other. So I just want the audience to know that.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And this week we're going to do a drive. We're going to do a special drive. It's called Go Over and Watch Us on Rockfin instead of YouTube Drive. You can sign up for Rockfin free and just come on over there, and Shanda will be highly engaged in the chat on Rockfin while I'm watching this dying dinosaur, which is YouTube, that is screwing all the progressives. We're going to go into depth to that tonight, talking about how Twitter, Facebook, YouTube is basically doing the deal to anybody that has a progressive opinion that doesn't line up with the corporate overlords of this planet.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Corona is still around more than before. And, have a great one. See you soon. Bye-bye.
She's still very beautiful. I moved on her, actually. Being down in Palm Beach, I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit.
Take a look at my girlfriend. Don't you think she's pretty hot? Don't Don't touch my new girlfriend. I'm gonna take her on my yacht. Get Nigel Farage across the water. He'd like to see America.
That's right, I would.
See the girls in my beauty pageant. If you're a celebrity, you can go up and grab their pussy. What you want for your breakfast? Baby, yeah, baby, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could fly us to Texas, 'cause honey, I'm a billionaire. Take a ride in my helicopter right across America. Try to leave and I'll try to stop ya, 'cause I always get what I want. You can hold on to my bouffant, but don't tell Melania, Ivana and Mala. Melania, Ivana and Mala. Melania, Ivana and Mala. Take a look at my daughter, she's the only one I got. Shame she's my daughter, I'd be dating her if not. I'm a winner, I'm a sinner, I guess you saw me on that show. Maybe we could get some dinner and then I'll move upon you, 'cause that's what I usually do. But don't tell Melania, Ivana and Mala. Melania, Ivana and Mala. Melania, Ivana and Mala. Okay, Melania, Ivana and Mala. Melania, Ivana and Mala.
And I did try and fuck her. She was married. Oh no, Nancy.